You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for supporting this podcast. We've been doing this, Ryan, for what, 6 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people always go, "Hey, your podcast is blowing up." I'm like, the podcast does fine, but it's really comes down to the patrons that support this podcast. It's like, you hear those things on like NPR, like donations or whatever. What is it?
And this is fresh air.
Yeah.
Very gross.
Well, your contributions. But it certainly is. I mean, it's really a community that has supported this little podcast and kept it going. And it's thanks to you. So if you're enjoying this podcast, hopefully you'll join Patreon and give back if you'd like. Patreon.com/inside of you. And there's a lot of perks. There's so many cool things, getting your name shouted out and packages for me and gifts and blah, blah, blah. But more importantly, you're supporting the show and keep it going. So I really appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody. You can also go to my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum, my link tree, and you can see all the things I'm doing, cameos, conventions, Smallville Nights with Tom, some products, my fart book, which is available on Amazon, and Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath for your dog's breath. So also, the Inside of You online store now has lunch boxes, Smallville, signed by me and Tom. So those will go fast. Anyway, great guest, Ryan. Paul Reiser.
Legend.
And he's right up there. He autographed my Aliens poster.
Oh, yeah.
And I love when old school comes in here.
Yeah.
To sort of just talk about their life and talk about their history and who they know and also talk about mental health and, other important things. But it was a real treat having him in the studio because I remember Mad About You was one of the biggest shows ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very candid. I was like, so you made $1 million an episode, which is like 2 million now. Mm-hmm. He was really cool about all of it. But look, if you like the episode, hopefully you'll subscribe, write a review. It really helps the podcast. Let's get inside of Paul Reiser.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. I can tell you're close with your wife.
I'm very close with my wife.
You
we
are.
text constantly.
You've been married for how long?
I've been married 36 years, 32 of them dynamite. And
there's got to be downs, of course. Come on.
There is. There are. Never whole chunks of years, but an afternoon could go wrong. And then you can't and sometimes you just have to wake up and start over. You can't fix it in a day.
Oh, I listened to your new stand-up. I watched. I didn't listen. I watched it.
I appreciate
your stand-up. It's hilarious. And you talk about like your wife when she says something and you take some time to answer.
No, if you take a moment, she goes, okay, he's deaf. He's not listening. I was thinking. And I just found out yesterday that our dog, who's almost 10, is not hearing well. I went, so it's not just me. Because neither of us heard the door open. But now I'm a little alarmed because she's very aggressive and it's good. She's a good guard dog. But not if she doesn't hear the door open or somebody coming in with a gun, God forbid. So but she's not as annoyed with the dog for not hearing as she is with me. Interesting.
It's a combination of things which you talk about on your special, which life, death, and rice pudding. And I love the ending where you think it's over, then you come out and you kind of explain why it's called rice pudding.
I do, so the people don't leave.
No, but it's cool. And you get a standing ovation. And I had to think, first of all, the question is, why did you want to do this after 30 years?
I didn't want to flood the market and do one every year. Well, a lot of it, for 20 years, unintentionally, I wasn't out doing stand-up for 20 years. From like when Mad About You, creating and then doing it and then recuperating, mm-hmm. I just had gotten out of the habit of getting out there. So it's really the last 10 years or so that I've been out. And for the longest time, I didn't feel, I was just, every night you want to get better. So I wasn't thinking about, I want to get a special. But I kept hearing from people going, oh, I didn't know he does stand-up. Oh, the guy from Stranger Things is trying to be funny now? I was like, oh, geez. So I thought I need to put some sort of public record and say, yes, this is what I do. This is what I actually enjoy doing. And it felt like it was time. And I was happy. The way it came out.
Yeah, you can watch that. It's available now in digital and demand. It's really funny. And I didn't know. You watch, there's a lot of specials, they aren't funny. But you genuinely made me laugh, which is hard. Usually just stare at the screen, even if I think things are humorous.
You're tough. You're one of those guys.
Yeah, but there were some things in there that I laughed. And because
nice.
It's relatable. It's relatable. You're very relatable. You're self-deprecating. You've always been self-deprecating.
With good reason.
Why? Come on.
Well, people, I don't know if I'm self-deprecating. I kind of feel like, especially now, after all these years, when the audience comes in, I feel like it's old friends. Like, well, I know you guys know me. You already bought a ticket and you drove here, so you heard of me.
Familiarity, yeah.
And a lot of the audience, like, yeah, we saw you in '85, we saw you in '90. So we kind of been through this together. So it feels. I don't look at it self-deprecating. I'm just being honest, and I feel like everybody, there are many people who feel the same way about. Here's what's not going well. Here's what I'm not good at. Here's what I'd like to be better at. Here's what just stymies me. And, if you hit it right, the audiences laugh because they go, oh, that sounds like me.
Yeah. I was thinking about when you were talking about you and your friend who you've known him since you were 10.
He lies.
And he's always hitting on girls or waiters at the waitresses. You can't say waitress anymore. Servers.
Yes.
What do you say?
TV repairman.
TV repairman, yes. But, it's like, he says something like, wow, look at that. It's like, hey, how are you? And he's flirting. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. We're past that. And his line was, I want to see if I still got it. And I had to break it to him. You don't. We don't have. 1982, we had it. It's gone.
It's so funny because I'm 52 and I already I'm like that.
Yes,
it's like they don't want to hear it. You're not some young cute guy.
Yes, take a look at you. Pass a mirror and take a look. Like there are younger people than you out there, and but we go down fighting. We just go. Yeah. You have an image of yourself and you think the muscle. You see a pretty girl. Well, hello. It's like, hey, Grandpa, sit down.
That's cute.
Isn't that adorable? You smell just like my pop-pop.
Is that Drakkar? How do you feel though? I mean, you look, honestly, I'm not just saying, you look great. You really, like, how do you keep in shape? How do you, you have good genes? What genes are those?
I have terrible genes. I have terrible genes. I have, I feel okay. I hear some people wake up feeling refreshed. I've not experienced that.
No.
And I would say, I think it's in the special, I don't know what has happened, but the gift of sleep has now eluded me. And every morning the first words out of my mouth were, I didn't sleep so good last night. Now, I don't know why, but I don't know that I've ever woken up feeling refreshed. But you do the best you can. You have some coffee, you get off and go for a walk. I'll get on the stationary bike every once in a blue moon.
That helps you get going?
The coffee?
Well, the steps, all these things.
Well, you got to get out of the house once in a while. We were out of town, my wife and I, this week, and we were in a nice hotel, and we're there for 2 nights. We went to see a Cowboy game in Dallas because my cousin said, I got a suite. I went, all right, we'll come to that. So we're in a nice hotel, and then my wife very innocently says, they have a gym. And I went, how does that involve me? I went, just because they have it, they can have a mosque. Doesn't mean I was like, God bless them. Let them have whatever they want. I don't have to do anything.
That's kind of rude.
What?
That's kind of rude that she says they have a gym.
No, she wasn't saying like, come on, Tubby. She wasn't mean like that. She was going, she's equally unmotivated. She was like, I guess if we wanted to be better people, we could go down to 2 and go to the gym. I'm like, we could also not.
Did you get nervous before your special? Because there has to be like, haven't done this. This is a special. Here I am. I want to know what you're feeling right before they announce to come on stage.
Excited, always excited.
Really?
Yeah, well, I didn't go from 0 to 100. I didn't let's hurry up, you got to tape a special.
Right.
So I spent, a couple of years, I was just working on stuff with no special in mind. And then somewhere beginning of last year, I said, let's aim for a special. We'll do it in the fall. And literally, I didn't even know, but it came out exactly a year after the day that we shot it. And so I was just out and I just started eyeballing, okay, let's get the best sequence. And that's the fun stuff is the minutia. And like sometimes you find this bit connects to that bit, which you hadn't thought of. Put those two together. Oh, that leads to somewhere else. So that's the fun part.
Yeah.
So, and then, after a few months, you go, okay, I got it working and now let's just polish it and get comfortable with it. And then you end up editing anyway, you know. And
You cut a lot from it?
Yeah, well, the show, you know, you do about 75 minutes and then we cut it down to just under an hour. And when you're looking at it with that kind of eye, you go, yeah, that bit, you know, if you're just doing a special and people haven't seen that bit is, you don't need that one's not as good as the other one. And you find places to cut.
Who does that?
Me.
Do you, like, for instance, do you trust your wife to watch it and tell me what's not funny?
No, I trust her to watch it, but no, I sit and I go, And even I sit with an editor and you know.
Is that funny? You say, is that funny?
Well, sometimes, you know, you have two bits separated by an odd sentence. You know, like if you take out that middle sentence, put those two together, you go, oh, that's actually funnier now because it's tighter. And, you know, it's I mean, but it's the same as film editing or TV. It's like just there's pacing. And sometimes a pacing that for me feels comfortable on stage live doesn't, you know, feels a little bit lethargic in film. So you go, you know, let's tighten this up. And also, you know, I in my mind, I tried to write carefully and concisely and pick the right words and like take out that word.
So you write all your own stuff.
Yeah. And you put it together like, okay, that's tight. Say it like that. And then invariably I don't. I get up and either I forget or I just go off on a tangent. So, you know, I find it sometimes hard to edit my own stuff because I do a lot of I'll start a sentence or start a word and then, you know, not finish it. What's funny to me is sometimes, you know, like on social media, I have people who do it because I don't know how to do it. So they'll put up these clips and they'll put up the text, the captions, but they'll put up every I go just
get to it.
Get to the word. They understand that I'm stuttered.
Do you, when you're doing a special though, you have the freedom to stop and go, all right, let me take that again. Since this is a special, it's being filmed. Let me take that joke again.
You would think. You know, usually you do two shows and you pick the best take. We just did one. I didn't want to do two. And so in my head, I thought I could do that. I said, you know, if I mess up, I'll go, let me take that over and we'll cut it out. But something else comes over. I go, oh, you know what? It's live and it's these people are here in this theater right now. I don't want to just because it also
I hear
it pulls up the curtain and go, oh, so you're not even doing this for us. You're doing this for some other purpose. So it felt disrespectful. The director at the end of the show, and it was a really lovely ovation. And you know, it's funny. You pointed out. You know, I came back and I, as a sort of a little bit of an encore, I come and I tell the rice pudding story and why it's called rice pudding. In fact, it was this wonderful, really enthusiastic ovation at the end, and everybody stood. It was really lovely. In editing, though, I went, I got to condense that because the audience is going to go, well, the home audience will say, oh, it's obviously over. Let's change channels.
Right.
I was like, all right, so take out that really long thing and just do the bit where I look at my watch and come back on. But at the end of the show, and now they stood up, you know, in the beginning, they stood up at the end of the show, and then after this little encore, and I get off, and he goes, I just need one shot. I go, what do you mean you need a shot? You know, when you lifted your hand, the camera missed it. I go, you think I'm going to go back out there in front of these people, 1,000 people sitting here who've been watching for an hour and a half, go, oh, everybody look, raise my hand. No.
So you said no.
I said, well, by the way, if you're watching at home and his hand goes up and you only see up to the elbow, let them imagine what's above the elbow. Probably his wrist. I think they can put it together in their imagination.
Inside of You is brought to you by Shopify. I talk about Shopify all the time. I can't imagine what a world was like without Shopify. When you're selling products, whether you're starting a business and I really think, you know, this year, make it your year. Start a business. Start selling stuff, whether you're a small business, big business, whatever. Shopify is so easy to use. And if you want to sell products, I do this. I go on and you can add a product on the page and it says, okay, upload a picture and then how much? And then how much does it weigh? And I have a little scale and it's like, oh, it's 13 ounces. And you press active. You can check analytics of how well your product's doing. If it's not selling well, you don't order more. It's so easy. Or even returns, the return policy. If you have to return something, you press return, you press the item, boom, it goes right back to the person, their credit. It's so easy to use, and Shopify is really changing the game. And they have changed the game for everybody. I don't know anybody who's not. I mean, nobody does selling better than Shopify. Home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and the not so secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%.
Meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between.
Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/inside, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/inside to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/inside. But you're excited by this point, by the time you start the show.
Oh, absolutely.
That's great. That's great.
Somebody said, "You ever get nervous?" I said, like a week before, I might get nervous. I did a show recently and I hadn't done one for a couple of months, and I was actually having that cold sweat, dream of, I got a school, report, and I haven't done my homework. I thought, I'm not going to remember this. But invariably, come hell or high water, when you get and the lights go down, something comes up. You know what I noticed, and I've heard this from other comics too, I don't remember ever feeling unwell on stage. And there are days you go, I got a cold, and I don't feel good, and you go up, and something, whether it's adrenaline, and maybe it's simple biology, hormones, whatever, and I go out, and I go, I feel great. And you get off stage, and you feel like shit again. It's like, but there's something about turning it on and performing. You're performing, You never saw Springsteen yawn. 3 hours, you think a guy in his 70s might yawn. No, he's not.
I don't know how they do that. I'm tired everything I do.
Exactly.
No, I'm serious. And then you're talking about sleeping. It's like, for some reason, I'm tired when I go to bed, but I feel good. I feel like, hey, it's a good tired, and I wake up and I feel worse.
Yeah, something happens. I think somebody comes in and bangs you in the tendons.
I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Were you always funny? Were you always, growing up, did you have like a happy childhood? Were your parents always there?
I had a happy childhood. My parents were always there. Yeah, if anything, I went the other. Could one of you have a fight, break up, leave the house for a while? Give me the house.
But they were there for you. They supported you, unconditional love, all that stuff.
All good. Yeah, I had I have no complaints about my childhood, and it's funny. I grew up in New York. And I have, and somebody says, your whole family funny? I was like, I don't think so. And then I remember in college, I had a friend who's from a very small town upstate New York and came in the city and stayed at my family's house. And we have breakfast. It was all loud and everybody's talking. And she goes, "Oh, so everybody's funny here." I went, I guess, it's like I don't think my family would stop and go, "Boy, what a funny young child we have." Right. It's like, we're all funny. We all talk loud. We all try to talk over each other. I mean, I was drawn to it as a thing. I mean, my older sisters were not putting on George Carlin records. That was me.
Right.
They knew it was funny. But yeah. And I think in like elementary school, I look back and I think, that should have been a sign. The fact that when we had writing assignments, write a composition, and if you had to, I think it was an option. You could read yours in front of the class. I always can I read mine? Because I'm going to get some laughs. I put some jokes in. In fact, I put a joke here that only one guy in the back's going to get, but that'll be worth it to me.
You were already writing as a kid, inadvertently.
Yeah, I knew the performing part of it. If you had a school play, it's like, okay, I liked being on stage. When I was in college, I did a couple of plays, but not in the theater department. They were,
like community theater.
It was even less. It was like the dorm. There was a theater department, which I never had anything to do with, but the dorms would put on like, Follies or something, or sometimes a musical. We did Guys and Dolls or something. And and the first one I only did it in Guys and Dolls because somebody fell out. And I said, oh, that should be fun. And I loved getting ready for the show, going back to getting nervous. And I loved 2 p.m. in history class going, all right, 7 more hours until the curtain goes up. And I'm going to get that laugh and then that other laugh half an hour later. And I realized I enjoyed the whole package. I enjoyed performing. I enjoyed looking forward to performing. And I also loved the community of it. I remember at the end we did, a week of shows or 4 or 5 shows. And at the end, you're backstage and or at the end a rap party. And I thought, I love this community. It's like, and it's ironic because stand-up is so singular, but it just still feels communal. I feel communal with my fellow comedians, and I do feel communal with the audience. And I noticed after COVID, after lockdown, there was the immediate first bunch of shows, there was a palpable appreciation of being together. Like we're all out of the house and we're laughing together.
Yeah.
I remember this connection and sharing, comedy is not funny if it's if the tree falls and nobody hears it. It's like, yeah, that's really funny, but not until nobody's going to laugh until you gather the people. And I remember even the first couple, I remember a few shows after lockdown where people were still socially distancing or wearing masks. It's like, it's not the same. You got to be sitting next to people. I got to see the smiles. You're not going to laugh with a mask on. So it underscored for me how much a part of the joy is seeing people and the immediacy of it. You say it, they laugh.
That's it. That's
right?
the big part.
You're not waiting 6 months to see if it cuts together.
It's right there, your instant gratification or instant shitting your pants.
Yeah, instant shitting the pants doesn't happen so much.
Well, look, in your life, you've bombed before. You've gone up on stage and bombed. Like you wrote, like there's a story that was in a book about
yes,
the Concorde.
I had one or two that I remember. But even then, in the back of your mind, you're going, this is so bad, it's funny. This is.
And you weren't scared up there.
Well, I probably was. I mean, now I've been telling the story over the years because it was such a, it wasn't, gee, you're so bad. It was, you shouldn't have been here. We didn't come to see you. We came to see the singer after you.
Melissa Manchester.
Right. And now, having said that, if my stuff was better and I was sharper, this is 30 years ago, I should have been able to turn that house around. Or have the skill to go, I know this isn't going well. And, and I've done those. Sometimes you go like, that joke didn't work. And that's
But it doesn't affect you like really badly.
It doesn't change my life course. I don't go, I'm leaving the business. No, man, you don't have those anymore. I mean, I'll go down to the club here. There's a club in Southern California in Hermosa Beach where you always go down to work out. And they're always a great house. And once in a while, there'll be, usually because they're a group. Like we have, the car dealership of Southern California. They have a little convention. It's 150, and they're all friends and they're all drunk. Like, this is, and it's all men. Well, it's not going to be the same. And
right.
And sometimes, in that environment, it's perfectly not only acceptable for me. It feels perfectly helpful. Like if something didn't work, I go, all right, you know what? You helped me. Thank you. I'm going to cross that joke off. Or I'm going to come back tomorrow. That joke will be better. And I go, all right, as long as he knows that didn't kill, but
that's rare. I mean, you have something that I hear from a lot of comedians, like it really weighs on them and they really get, I even hear old stories from Seinfeld when he bombs. He's like, it was the worst feeling of my life. Is that your wife? Can we listen in?
I have a friend named Spam Risk.
We all have that friend who we ignore.
Let me show you. I literally, it's like the seed eater joke. My phone is sitting next to me and it vibrated, and I didn't know that my phone was there. I said, I think I've soiled myself.
Did you?
I feel
well. You are in your 60s.
I feel a stimulation that I had not planned.
But other comedians, like I've heard them, they're like, like afterwards, if they don't do well, that it really affects them. But you seem to be so. I don't know. You seem to be okay with it. Like you learn from it.
Well, when you've been doing it this long, you have some nights that are a 10 or an 8 or a 6, but there's usually a reason or whatever. They're not life threatening. They're never consequential enough to go, I'm in the wrong business.
But were they at one point?
No,
were they like more?
No, not really. I was talking to another comedian about this, and I remember early on, first year, and you're allowed to be not great. I just started. And you're also sort of protected. You know how like babies can swim in water because they've been in the womb? It's like comedians, when you're starting, you have an embryo of naivete and ignorance. You don't know how not good you are. You think you're better. So you may not even feel it. And then years later, you go, oh, that's quite bad.
Wow, yeah.
You didn't know it, or you didn't know you think you're pretty hot. So, but I remember this on a night that it was good. And I was still at the time thinking, boy, I hope I did the right thing, leaving my father's business and saying, no, I want to be a comedian, which is the last thing parents want to hear.
Right.
So what are you going to do? You're going to go to clubs at 2 a.m. and get no money and just to drink and talk to girls? How's that going to work out? We'll see. When you have an alternative, he had a business. He had a very successful business. He said, well, you'll come into the business. I went, I don't think so. I think I really want to be a comedian. So I carried that for a while, like, not that I'm not going to do this, but like, oof, boy, I really hope I have something tangible to show for this in a while.
Yeah.
But I remember, on a good night, you get off and go, oh man, I love this. I can't wait till tomorrow. I get to do it again. And then on nights when it didn't go well, I would go, God, that was terrible. I can't wait till tomorrow to get this taste out of my mouth and to do it again. I thought, wait, if every road leads to, I got to do it again, maybe I'm in the right thing.
It's like, it's in a way, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but it's like a baseball player who strikes out and then goes, I can't wait to get up and get at that pitcher again. Like, I want to come out and hit a home run this time. I'm not going to strike out. I can't wait to go. I want to prove myself.
Oh, you have a tough series. I'm sure Aaron Judge didn't go home and go, you know what? I should be in retail. I'm in the wrong profession. No, because you know what? This is a slump. I messed up, whatever. I'm still good at this.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
You talk about the clubs when you're younger and you're drinking and you're talking to girls and having fun with the guys. Did you ever get into drugs and alcohol?
No, I'm hoping to.
You are?
Yeah.
I know some people.
The day is still young.
I know some people. But you never got into that.
No, I wish. I
wish I would.
No, I used to say, I remember certainly in the 80s, and you're playing clubs, and there was a sort of similarity. Every club owner in Cleveland and Atlanta and Dallas and Seattle, it was always some sort of young hotshot in his 30s. He was now making money hand over fist, and they'd always be offering you Coke. And I remember thinking, no, I thank you. And I wish what I said, I was finished that sentence. I wish I could just say, can I have the cash value of whatever it is you offer? That looks like several $100s. Give me the $300. Give me $80 and keep the Coke.
But you weren't interested.
No, I've never.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's
I don't know.
nature, nurture kind of thing?
A little bit. I mean, I know,
You never wanted any.
No, I never.
You didn't want to powder your nose one time with Rodney Dangerfield backstage.
No, I never had.
Hey, come on, Paul.
I didn't even smoke weed till like the end of my college. Like I just, for some reason, it just didn't appeal to me.
Wow. That's good.
I also didn't try oysters till well into life. I went, you know what, this is good. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying it didn't appeal to me.
What about we talk on this podcast a lot about mental health, like anxiety, and people get anxiety, people get depressed. Have you ever been through those stages in your life?
Sure. Yeah.
What was like the worst time in your life?
They were never long running. I mean, I think there are moments, and there are moments of doubt, and there are moments of, gee, what a cheerful podcast you got.
We explore.
I came in here feeling good. Make a note. Clock that.
You're going to sleep really well tonight.
I hope to God. Then this will be worth it. No, I don't think I ever looked back and had periods of depression that, were crippling. I think that like the toughest part, I remember, I mentioned this before, was like when I was deciding to make the leap and say, I really want to do stand-up. And to do that, for me, I had to like really sort of sell it to my parents, mostly my father, because he had business. He had a wholesale food business, and and I grew up in that, and I used to work my summers there, and it was always kind of expected. And it was like, well, that'll be easy, and that's a really successful, and we've had a very nice, comfortable life, and I could continue that, and it'll be, nobody wants it. You don't want to disappoint your parents. So that was a stressful period, but it was almost like removing a splinter that once I broke through that membrane and went, you know what, I really do want to do this. The hard part, I still have the challenges. I got to, break it to him, and he may or may not be good with it. And he ultimately was.
But the decision was
the decision, because I'm like, and at that time thinking, I don't, I was doing both. I used to, after college, I was working in my dad's office 8 a.m. to whatever, 6. Go home, sleep a little, and then go into the comedy clubs. So I was burning in both ends, and I wasn't doing well in either because I was not focused. So I'd be coming to the office tired, and I'd show up at the clubs tired. And I went, this can't go on. You have to, what do you want to do? And then when I looked at it honestly, and I had a couple of people that I talked to, and I would go, oh, so it's really clear what I want to do. What I'm struggling with is how do I present this, and how do I have the tough conversation that I don't want.
So your father meant a lot to you. He's still with you?
No, he died in 1989. So he got to see. It was very important that when first time I was on the Tonight Show, it was like, that is a currency that he understood. And his quote was, "Hey, Johnny seemed to like you."
Is that what he said?
Yeah, it's like, I know what he meant. It's like, well, you did not, but it's like, because you think your kids, I don't know what I look at my own kids like, I don't know. Somebody told me my son had written something, and he told me a writer I respect, and he said, your son is like really freaking good. I went, I wasn't really sure. I thought so, but I know that I'm biased. I think he's great, but wow, okay. So sometimes outside currency helps.
Yeah.
And so so my dad, and he got to see me start to do TV and do the Tonight Show regularly. So I think it was literally a day or two that he was distressed when I said, I'm not going into your business. And then from then on, God bless him. I mean, he was really supportive and
watched everything you did.
Everything. He would wake up and tape reruns. I went, but you have the original. You don't have to tape. They're rerunning it the Tonight Show you did for last year, it's on again today. I went, yeah, but you have that tape.
And he would call you after everything?
Yeah.
I never experienced that.
No?
No, I never experienced that.
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in New York and Long Island, but I grew up in Indiana.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a jump. That's quite a commute every day.
Well, my dad moved.
I see.
So since I was 8, I lived there, but my whole family's from New York.
I got you.
But yeah. It was just when I listen, it's like, there's a little envy. There's a little, but there's also like, that's cool. That's cool to experience.
I mean, he wasn't really vocal. He wouldn't call and say, that was funny. But I knew he was proud, and I knew he had accepted, and I know he would tell everybody, hey, my son's going to be on Letterman. My son's going to be on.
Right.
So, and I look back, with a distance, I have more respect and appreciation. Like, oh, that must have been really hurtful for him when I left. It's like, not because, he had succeeded and he didn't need me, but to continue that. But like, there's a certain joy that he was looking forward to. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But, I have kids who are now in their 20s, and you realize you just want them to find themselves and make yourself happy. And it doesn't have to be what I planned for you.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I love these guys at BetterHelp, and so many people are getting the therapy they need. It's so important to give therapy a try. And so many people out there don't want to come in and meet a therapist. And what's great is this online therapy that BetterHelp has created has done so much for so many people, because you don't have to be afraid anymore. If, the stigma is gone. You could get a therapist online, and if you don't have a good first encounter, you're like, I don't really want to. I want to try someone different. No cost, no charge. They'll change your therapist for you. It's so easy. And if you're thinking about it, if you got a lot of bottled stuff, that you just need to talk to someone about it. I always find, Ryan, that when I'm talking to somebody, even if I have nothing to say, within 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I'm so glad that I'm talking to someone. Mm-hmm. Don't you?
Yeah.
It just feels like it all comes out.
Yeah.
Also, what are some of your relationship green flags? Maybe it's when your partner thoughtfully listens or anticipates your needs. We often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but what if we focus more on looking for green flags in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, it's time to form relationships that love you back. Therapy with BetterHelp can teach you positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/inside to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside. You ever kiss someone in the morning and you wish you hadn't? It's a real turnoff. Bad breath, that is. And that goes for everyone. Yes, I created a product called Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. Just one full cap in your dog's water. And wow, it's odorless, tasteless. You'll be kissing your dogs all day.
My breath is delicious.
Yeah, mine too. It's awesome.
Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. Get it on Amazon today.
You know, I got to work with Peter Falk, who I adore.
You talk about that in your special.
I do, and I adored him. And part of why I love telling that story, I was telling that story just as to friends. I thought, oh, maybe that's part of the act. But there's an overlap of Peter Falk and my father. One time, the movie I did with him, it was called The Thing About My Folks, and I wrote it only because I wanted to play with Peter Falk. And I thought, So one time I was visiting my parents back in New Jersey. This is like early 80s. And my father happened to be watching whatever came on. I'm sure he didn't look for it. And it was The Cheap Detective, Peter Falk. And he was just really laughing. And I went, Peter Falk, my father. There's some connection here. And I said, Peter Falk as my father. Yes. Okay. So Peter Falk. So I had, for years, it took me a while to figure out the story. But I just had this desire to do a movie.
Because you know your father loved him?
Because of that connection, but also I grew up loving Peter Falk. And I don't know that it came from my parents. First time I saw him, I was 8 years old, and I saw Robin and the Seven Hoods, and I just went, I don't care about any of these guys, but who's this Peter Falk? Oh my God. So, well, the funny thing was, so finally I wrote the script, I got it to Peter Falk, and to my astonishment, he loved it and said, let's go do this. We had dinner, my wife and Peter and his wife, and we have dinner and we leaving, and my wife turns to me and she goes, oh my God, he's your fucking father. And I said, yeah, he doesn't look like him. He doesn't, but there's something in the connection. But the reason I even brought it up, I related to him something associated with my father, but what we really connected about was that he, who was a little younger than my father, but not by much, he had a father who was in retail, had a business, had a store in upstate New York.
Did you know this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And no, but what I didn't know at the time was the similarity that his father looked at Peter's career choice oddly, like, why would you do that? And so I said, well, there's a connection where he and we're both the idiot sons of fathers who don't understand why his son. There was a great story he told, and I don't remember if he told me or if he told this on TV but there was a story where he got his first job and he was working a movie, and he's working these 2 days and he's not working next week. But he's doing well, and he says, Dad, come into the city and let me take you to lunch. He goes, you're not working? Would they fire you? No, they didn't fire me, Dad. I'm not working today. So they meet for lunch. He goes, what do you, when you say you're not working today? He goes, well, I shot my scenes yesterday, and then my next scene is not till Tuesday, so today I am not working today. And his father goes, Peter, tell them that you don't want to be paid for today. Make sure that, Dad, you get paid for it. He goes, no, it's not right. You shouldn't take money for it. And I went, oh, that's so beautiful. It's just,
right?
It's so, well, that makes all the sense in the world. You're stealing. You're getting paid.
Because this is how he grew up?
Yes, you work a day, you get paid for a day. But if you're not working, and I thought, oh, that just moved me.
Yeah,
and
you're still moved. I can tell. I love it.
And it's also, it's what bonded me, as much as I looked at Peter as a father figure, it's like we were closer because of that experience of choosing acting, and he did not picture that as a young man. He was in the civil service. He was, I forgot what the story was. I think he walked by an acting class or something, and he said, I got to do that. It was like,
I was thinking. But you said you did this with your left hand.
Yes.
But your right hand.
Yeah, that's
nothing. Thank you. That would be all.
I used to watch him all the time.
Yeah. Yes.
I love that. I love how you get a little emotional. You're a human being. That's what this show's about. I love it.
Is it? I had no idea.
Dude, people have cried on this show.
I came here as a human being. I didn't know that it was going to be needed.
I didn't know I'd leave here as one.
I didn't need to call it up.
Look at all the stuff you're doing now. I mean, you did The Boys season 3. You're coming back?
That's what I'm told. The next season that they have a thing for me to do.
I mean, come on.
I sit by the phone.
The legend.
Well, I had not heard of the boys when I got offered this thing, and I called my son, my 24-year-old was 2 years ago. He was 22, and he knows. He just is very culturally plugged in. I said, "You ever heard of the show The Boys?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, they want me to be on it. What do you think?" He goes, "Dad, it's great, and you'll hate it." I know what. He goes, "I know you. You're not."
Was he right?
Yeah. Well, I don't like, that's not my kind of thing. But when I watched it, he goes, because it's really over the top. And I went, "Oh, let me see." And I watched a minute. I went, "Wow." It's so, but then when I realized, okay, it's not gratuitous. This is what their palette is. It's just over the top violent.
You can appreciate it.
Yeah. And I said, and the role was really funny. And it's called The Legend. I said, well, that's cool. I'll be the legend.
You're now the legend.
I'm the legend.
That's so cool.
It was fun. It was,
and Stranger Things.
Another show I wouldn't be, watching.
But these are big,
they're huge
shows.
Oh, listen. Well, that again, he told me about Stranger Things. My son hit me to it. He had watched it the weekend it came out, and literally, and everybody was talking about it. And then, like that Monday, my agent calls me. Says, "You ever heard of this new show, The Stranger Things?" I said, "Of course I have. I don't live in a cave." Yeah, my son just told me an hour ago. But he said they want to meet you, and so at that these guys already had me in mind for something, and it's the biggest show in the world. Yeah, that's
got to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to think too hard about that. No, but when I say, if I sit down and pick shows to watch, that's not in my world.
Yeah,
science fiction-y.
Yeah,
Well, and it's
too.
Crazy. Being in Aliens, it's like I have no business being in that world, and yet there I am.
By the way, Aliens. It is one of my favorite movies.
It's
a lot of people's favorite movie.
It is a really, really.
But
great
I always
movie.
think, you play such a great character, and you're really good at it. You're serious, and you're up to no good, and you're worse than these creatures.
Maybe
You don't see them.
yeah.
What does he say?
Screwing each other for a profit or whatever it was.
For a percentage. Well, I mean, that experience. I just watched the documentary too. They had this
I haven't
4-hour
seen it.
documentary. I have the download. I could forward it to you.
But you have 4 hours free to watch it?
I watched it with all my friends. We watched every bit of it.
Really? I got to see it.
The only thing I didn't like, and I liked it a lot, was they should have had more of there were some secondary characters that were in it for like 3 seconds that talk a lot. That you're like, I don't really.
Yeah.
But you're in there, and you're in there a lot, which is good. But did you audition for it?
Yeah, I can't quite. I know I went in and met Jim Cameron. I don't know if I read a scene. I think I didn't. And my understanding is, he was looking for somebody that they could delay the reveal that this guy is no good. And so, to whatever, he was looking for somebody who was not particularly well known. And if he's known at all, it's for comedic light stuff. So I think that was his thinking. But I don't know.
Was he nice to work with?
Yeah, he was great.
He had to be. Come on, did you see a side of him that was like, he's tough?
He's totally tough, and he's intense, and he's brilliant. So there are all these stories about, oh, he's so demanding, and like you create the Abyss, you write Terminator, you make all that shit happen. It's like that's not. You got to be a special kind of person.
Yeah.
You have to be wildly passionate and convicted and focused. He is a very unique person. I don't know him well, but he was always nice to me. He cast me and he included me. And a lot of the stories came onto being because we shot in England, and they were not used to, and they were resistant to a brash young American, even though he's Canadian. This young wunderkind, and they have their thing. They have. It's not different, but there's we have a tea break.
I saw that's all in the documentary.
And they went, and Jim was like, wait, we got to get this shot.
The fuck is this?
Yeah, no, we're getting the tea break. So there was a little bit of cultural clash there. And, but, his brain, he invents the technology that he needs. Like, the Abyss, we don't have a camera or something that goes down that deep. I'll fucking invent it. Okay. And he came out of the Roger Corman school. So a lot of the stuff, the action stuff in Aliens is models. And it's like, I still can't tell. I know it's not
I miss
real.
that. I miss where they would do practicals and models and things like that. I just think that there's so much CGI that it just takes me out of it. It just takes me completely out of it. And like he created these worlds that were just believable. You're in that world. Did he? Do you remember him giving you any direction and him just saying, "No, I want you to say it like that"? Like,
not really.
No,
I don't know that he did.
he let you just do your thing.
No, I just don't know that my memory is any good.
He must have just liked what you were doing.
The part was sort of, in a way, simple, and I'm sure there were things that he said, try it this way, but it was never dogmatic or it was always delivered well. I didn't have any problem, but I was so aware that this was going to be a monster hit.
You knew that while you're making that.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it when I read it. I went, Jesus Christ. Well, first of all, Alien was great, and I knew that. And Sigourney Weaver, it's like, okay. And I had seen Terminator. I go, this guy's great. And the script was, I have never had this experience. Like, I was out of breath reading, turning pages. Oh. It was, and he's written, these short little haikus, like almost like Batman, pow, kazow, like boom, and like little half sentences. And you go, it's a stunning read. You should find the script.
Yeah.
And so I go, well, this is going to be a big hit. If I'm lucky enough to get cast, my job is just don't bring the film to a grinding halt. Like,
don't get fired.
Like, don't walk on when you walk on, on screen when they see you, that you don't want everyone to go, whoa, something's wrong here. Just blend in.
Do you still get residuals from it?
I'm sure I do.
But they're probably not a lot at this point.
I got $1.40 from the Philippines. I'm going to spend wisely.
Yeah, exactly. I got to talk about Mad About You. How many shows did you pitch before Mad About You?
It wasn't like I was sitting there coming up with ideas and then I said, I got it. How about this one? I think I had 2 or 3 times I had gone out with a script or had a deal to write a script and never got made. So I think over, early 80s to, maybe I guess 90, had a couple of opportunities where I'd come up with an idea and some were sold. But Mad About You came, again, I was saying to somebody, I'm not the most aggressive, assertive creator. Sometimes I need an invitation or an encouragement. And in that case, I had been on another show and I got a little bit of visibility as a comic. And I was approached by the studio, whatever became Sony. It was a smaller studio, the TriStar, I guess it was called. And so invited me to write a script for yourself. And at the time, I was newly married, and that was my stand-up act was all about things I was discovering and then finding success with it. Like, oh, that material about relationship, that's actually funnier and deeper and feels better to me than, hey, California's different than New York, Right. So I like, oh, this feels like my wheelhouse. And so I said, almost like as a disclaimer, I said, if I was going to come up with a show, it's not going to be a wacky idea. It's going to be really small, like, and they said, well, go write that. And so that's what I went home and wrote. And I knew that, that we could have fun doing that. The pitch, and I knew there was something to it that when we pitched it, I remember going to the 3 execs and each one, I give a little example of what it was and they'd all go, oh, all right, so listen to this. So my wife, and they would have stories from their own.
Yeah.
I went, okay, so this is pretty universal. But the pitch of that was, and I'm proud of this because it was a good pitch. I said, when you're out with your wife, you're at a party and you're socializing, you're talking and you're just, you're being nice with everybody and you say goodnight and you get into the car. I said, the second that car door closes, that's the show. I said, when you're driving home and you go, why would you say that? I didn't know she was pregnant. Yes, you could. It's like, it's just the intimacy. And to the extent that we can keep the cameras out, just pretend that there's cameras in the back of the car, in the back of your house. And, as we went on, our sort of motto to ourselves was make it feel, it's got to feel more like life and less like a TV show. Because sometimes we all come up with a great line.
This is pretty much the pitch.
Yeah, well, but no,
it's
but it was our sort of mission statement as we were going. It's like sometimes, somebody would write a really great joke. I'm going, yeah, but you know what? Nobody would really say that. Or if a wife said that, then that would be the end. It's like, no, it sounds too much like a really funny guy on a TV show. Obviously, we went for jokes and we went for laughs, but
there was a real undercurrent of reality there.
That was, and ultimately, that's the sort of the filament that. For those people who liked the show, that's what they came to. Even if they couldn't put their finger on it, they go, it just felt real. It's like, yeah, because we worked at that.
I mean, you guys are going toe to toe so many times. I just remember in that living room.
Yeah.
And just, it felt like you're watching a movie or a play. It's just like, it was so bad. Was that hard to memorize? I guess you're writing.
No, it was never hard to memorize for me. I mean, as a stand-up, I was used to talking for a long time. And yes, I would either write it or be rewriting it or I'd sit with it. It was never, and you're doing, 4 pages at a time. It's not, you're not doing an hour and a half straight. But same thing we were talking before about being excited before a show, before tape night, or even just rehearsals. Like if I saw 6 pages, and that was my favorite stuff to write. It was like, if you look at it, it's just dialogue. And I know I'm playing with, somebody as great as Helen Hunt, and these characters, and you're just, that was joyful, and I couldn't wait to do those scenes.
Did the dialogue change a lot on opening night, like on Friday nights when you recorded it?
No.
You were pretty much solid by Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, yes. It wouldn't change. Sometimes you'd find something in a pause or a laugh, but no, we're certainly not making up lines.
Right.
But, and the other thing was, and this was sort of key to assuring Helen when I sent her the script before she did the pilot, I said, this is not Welcome Back, Kotter. It's not funny guy and a wife going, oh, honey. I said, this is equal. This is 50-50. And it's not he's neurotic and she's sane, or she's neurotic and he's I said, within every scene, oh, he's got it together. Oh, now she's got to be this. Oh, now she's nuts. And I said, and that's what, marriage is. It's like, I mean, there are days, certainly in my marriage, I go, where I got to be the voice of reason, and more often than not, she's got to be the voice of reason. It's like, okay, that's how we got this far.
Did you know it was Helen Hunt when she walked in the room?
Yeah. Well, I invited her. What happened was, I was in the middle of writing the pilot, and we were invited to a dinner party. My wife was we were friends with a woman who was a friend of Helen's. And they actually shared a house in the hills, and they were housemates, and they had a dinner party. And there was maybe 10, 12 people there. And I had never met Helen. I'd seen her in a few things, and I thought she was great, but it wasn't, because I had in my head a whole other look. Helen does not look at all like my wife. And I was picturing brown hair, brown eyes, and like, they're all saying, you can't choose who you love. Love chooses you. Yeah. So I'm at this party, and I'm going, she's cool. I said, she's adorable. She's really cute. She's funny. She's whip smart. She's just offbeat enough. I said, and she's really bright. She's a really smart woman. And so we're leaving the party, and I remember turning to my wife. I go, what do you think about her as you? She goes, she'd be great. I said, I don't know. So, you don't want to follow up a dinner party. That was lovely. Read the script.
I'm in love with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I sent her the script, and, she used to tell the story that, like, she was just getting on a roll, getting some traction in film, and the last thing she was thinking of doing was a half-hour sitcom. And in her mind, sitcoms, and she was a huge fan and student of sitcoms. She could recite she was on Mary Tyler Moore as a child. Wow. She was Murray's daughter, but she knew every Lucy, and she, the things that endeared me to her was like, okay, and Mel Brooks records by heart, and David Steinberg records by heart. Geez, okay, this is going to work. And so she read the script and said, yeah, I really like this. I don't know what to do. I really, she was sort of reluctant to like it. And she came over to my house. I said, let's just talk. Let's just read it. So we would read a scene. And she's such a deeply rooted actress.
Yeah. We
had a scene, and it was in the kitchen. So I would do it like this. We would just read it. Not Helen Hunt. She got up and she started going to my sink, because she's, the scene is in the kitchen. And so she's talking to me, and she's washing dishes in my house. And she was so convincing that I actually said, Helen, you leave those. I'm going to get to this. No, I'm doing the scene. Oh my God, you're doing the scene. You just knocked me. It was like so real. So when we went in, we had to bring in other people. So that was even before we started casting. So I said, I think we found it. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's amazing. Inside View is brought to you by Quince. Listen to this, guys. If you're looking for like really good clothing at a fraction of the cost of what it normally costs, then listen to this. This is Quince, okay? And I got a cashmere sweater for $50. Yeah. Well, where
Wow.
have you ever heard of that, Ryan?
No, never.
No. Elevating my lifestyle used to mean breaking the bank, but no, not anymore. With Quince, I get high-end, versatile pieces at prices I can actually afford. Now I can upgrade my style by snagging killer luxury essentials that sync with my vibe and my wallet.
Quince has all the must-haves like Mongolian cashmere crewneck sweaters from $50, iconic 100% leather jackets, and versatile flow knit activewear.
The best part, Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out most of the middleman and passes the savings on to us.
Yes, pretty amazing. This is a great sponsor, especially for people who like to look sharp and don't want to pay the big bucks. Quince is pretty awesome. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/inside for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/inside to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/inside. Hey folks, it's me, Michael Rosenbaum. Listen, if you're a supporter of the podcast, if you're enjoying these interviews, we ask you if you can join Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you, and help the podcast. It's a great way to build a community and friends, and there's a lot of benefits. There's different tiers. There's one where I give you packages every couple of months, a bunch of gifts, and write a note. You get your name shouted out on the podcast, and much, much more. But most importantly, you'll be helping the podcast. So if you want to become a member of Patreon and support this podcast, that would be awesome. So just go to Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you. And I really appreciate you. Thanks. And you don't stop working. It's like the problem with people you wrote, produced, and starred.
Available right now on either iTunes or Amazon, anywhere you rent or buy content.
Yes. And I mean, how did you come up with this?
It's so fun. People say, you're always working. I go, yeah, I don't mean to. It's like, I don't feel like I need to get out of the house. In fact, I love doing nothing. I do. But the problem with people sort of came out backward. I've now done it twice that I've written and produced and filmed. And the Peter Falk movie, the only reason for it to being is that I wanted to make a movie with Peter Falk playing my father. And I didn't understand what it could be until I had my second kid. I went, okay, I have an idea about what fatherhood is or what I want to say.
Yeah.
And the only other movie I had in my head the whole time was, I got to make a movie in Ireland. I had seen Local Hero, which takes place in Scotland, but whatever. And that was 1983. And I just loved that movie. It was so offbeat and charming. And I said, that looks really nice. An American going to a little picturesque town, Ireland, Scotland, whatever, and making a movie there. So I had for years just this vague notion, I got to get to Ireland. And then I would try writing. I went, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. And then I said to, it's funny how creative things happen. I just happened to be talking to a woman producing a film I was on for 2 days. I said, yeah, I do have this one movie I want to make in Ireland. I think maybe I should write it with somebody because she said, I know just the guy. And she introduced me to this young guy that never heard of him. We met for coffee and went, yeah, seems like a smart guy. And he sparked to the idea. And he was a great collaborator. He was just like, yeah, let me take your idea. And in short order, we zeroed in on this story. Because why would you go to Ireland? You can't just go because you want to go. I said, okay. So the story became, what if they're relatives? A New York guy and an Irish guy. They're the distant cousins who've never met, and their grandfathers were brothers, and they had a fight, so we were raised to not like each other. So the Americans hate the Irish side of the family, the Irish don't talk about the American, and we both don't even know what it was about. And I said, well, that's it's fun, but it's also secretly about something. It's like, how do people who are raised, with a bias, how do you get past that? And I said, okay, so here's a big theory, big theme in a very small thing. It's basically a two-hander. Colm Meaney plays
he's genius.
Because he's genius. And we got the script to him, and he also just went, love it, let's do this. And then COVID, and took us 3 years to get it off the ground. But, I can't remember now. I was telling you, I was talking to somebody earlier. That's part of what part of what I love about stand-up is it's so uncomplicated. You just go, show up, tell your jokes, go home. And whereas you might come up with a movie, it's like, well, you got to write it. You got to get
People
somebody
behind
to
it.
finance it and wait.
Shoot
and
it,
then,
get it done,
It's like, it's so
edit
many
it.
pieces. So I don't know
Yeah.
how many of those I have in my life. And then,
But you keep doing it.
well, yeah. And then, of course, by contrast, when you get invited to go be in somebody else's thing, like, oh, that'll be fun. And it feels like batting with just one bat.
Like The Gutter.
The Gutter was this.
Oh, it looks so funny. I can't wait to see that.
It's so stupid funny.
Susan Sarandon, the bowling alley. I mean, come on.
It is it's sort of in the school of Dumb and Dumber. You just, you hate yourself for laughing at some of the silly stuff.
Critics love this.
It's really fun. And they said, we're missing this kind of comedy. But that was one where I wasn't sitting home going, get me a bowling movie or get me anything. It's like, it's funny. I mean, my agents will go, well, I got an offer. I went, fuck, I got to get out of the house. And I remember like 3 pages in and I was laughing, it's like, I don't always laugh at print. And I go, this is really funny. And then I'm going, gee, I hope this was written by a black guy. It's like, okay. Because it's actually two brothers. I mean, no, they were actually brothers.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. Small B.
Yes.
Isaiah and Yasser Lester. And they're a great team. It's not always easy to co-direct something, but they wrote it together and it's really funny and wrong. And I play this basically the Howard Cosell of the bowling world, who's
saw the trailer.
who's so
hilarious.
clueless and just says things that like, did you even think about what you just said? And I went, God, this is really funny.
The Gutter. And when can you watch that?
That's out right now in theaters.
In theaters. And then you have The Problem with People.
That you have to go on your iTunes. You have to find it. They make it very difficult.
And Life, Death, and Reich's Pudding is available now in digital demand. I mean,
you got to go. You know what? There's
God, you
no
don't stop.
shortage of if a lot of people say we can't get enough Paul Reiser, and I'm trying to fill that void.
Hey, I think that's true. Dude, look, Stranger Things, The Boys, all these movies. It's like
we're satisfying America's demand. Yes,
absolutely. This is Shit Talking with Paul Reiser. It's quick. You just answer fast. These are my top tier patrons. Go to patreon.com/inside you. Thank you for supporting the show. Murphy C says, best memories of playing Dr. Sam Owens in Stranger Things.
Getting the call, getting invited to join the biggest show in the world. That was a highlight.
Did you have a lot of fun doing it?
I did. It was, I came in on the second season, so I already knew it was a big hit, and I knew what it looked like. And a little bit I was thinking, like, I'm the new kid in high school, and where do I sit? They're all going to be bonded. They've been together. They've just been through a whole first season.
Were you nervous at that?
I wasn't nervous. I just didn't expect it to be as welcoming. And and the kids were like really sweet and smart.
Who was your favorite kid?
They were all great. I mean,
Gaten.
really. Yeah, Gaten was great. He was a great kid.
He was on the pod. He's awesome.
And Millie, and even sort of later on, and she became this global phenomenon. And I go, she's really a sweet young lady, and she's just smart and sweet, and like if you don't know better, you go, well, she's going to be really snooty. It's like, no, she's really delightful.
She's actually really
she's
cool.
really smart.
Melissa M, are you more of an Aliens or Predator guy? Which one do you
Is this
think?
Melissa Manchester?
This is Melissa Manchester.
Well, that's why that she would write into you.
More Aliens or Predator, and which one do you like more as a monster?
I've never seen a Predator movie.
You're going to go with Aliens. You were in Aliens.
Yeah, let's say that.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
Taylor R, favorite childhood memory?
Birth. That's how clever I am.
Birth,
I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Birth. He was born, thank God.
And then it got cloudy after that until this podcast.
Linda M, what do you love most about your life?
Oh.
Yes, you could take a second.
Give me a second.
All right, time's up.
Well, the fact that we have one, the fact that we're here, and I have to remind myself, like on the tougher days, and they're not depressing, but like days when, oh, well, this is broke, or gee, you have this problem with your kid, or gee, this little health scare, or this, or the fact that your country go into shit, those little things, you go, all right, well, but you're alive,
Yeah.
And you won't be always. And you think of, I always go back, like, well, somebody in 1700s, they wake up and they go, well, this is a shitty Wednesday. Whatever, you're dead now. You know what I mean? It's going to pass.
We're all going there.
We're all going there.
Enjoy it while you're here.
And you know what comes tomorrow? Thursday. So there'll be another one. So yes, so you try and, make the most of it. So I enjoy my life. I married a really wonderful woman, and not every day or every hour at all is smooth sailing, but even that, I go, Norman Lear wrote his memoir, was called "Even This I Get to Experience," which is a very juicy, doesn't flow off the tongue, but it's a great sentiment. And it's so beautifully Jewish. Even this I get to experience, which you apply it to everything. It's traffic. I stubbed my toe.
I love it.
Look at I stubbed my toe. Isn't that phenomenal?
Tell me about a time, Raj says, a project was either so difficult or taking such a mental toll on you that you considered quitting.
Mental toll. I don't know that I ever quit.
Or thought of quitting.
Yeah. I think on these longer journeys, like getting these 2 movies made, there were certainly, moments where you go, maybe this is not worth it. This seems to be too many obstacles. And then you go, well, wait a minute. Why am I going to let these people say no? It's like, if you want to get it done, but just keep trying. And that's really all you have in life. It's like, get up. It's not guaranteed to go your way at all, whether it's a film or a project or a day. But like, let me try the best I can. And more than likely, it's not going to go well. And wake up in the morning and something new hurts. And you go, all right, this is Tuesday.
Is it?
Yeah. That was.
Is it?
That was our go-to on Mad About You. Helen and I, whenever we were trying, let's just really, pinpoint where we are as actors, where we are. And we just look at each other and go, it's a Tuesday, as if that would give us a wealth of biographical data from which to.
Whose idea was it that you would ask for the most per episode in the history of television at that time?
I don't think that was the case.
I think it was, or maybe Seinfeld. No, Seinfeld was
after. I don't know.
Who said, what we should do? We should make $1 million an episode.
It sounds like a big number, but a lot of those numbers are zeros. So that's nothing.
Today, that would be $1.8 million today.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
But it was the biggest show on TV.
But in the 1400s, that would have been like 3 drachmas.
Jeez. That's pretty exciting, though. When they told you that that's what was going to happen, were you just like, well, you look at this? How about that? Huh?
You said before, or one of the questions was like, do you ever think of quitting? It was never clear or guaranteed that any season they were going to pick it up again. Like in the old model, like we want to pick it up. It's like
they just put you to the last.
And there were periods in the beginning of the first or second season of Mad About You where I go, I don't know if this is worth it, just because finding the right creative partners and sometimes there's stupid battles with network people. You go, do I have the stamina? And like, oh yeah, I don't want to not do this because of these people. So you find a way to push through. I don't remember where we were or how that happened. I don't think we went in and go, ask him for $1 million. I think, it was we were ready to end it. And we always said this, we knew going in, this would be our last season. We wanted to end it, and we had it in mind how we wanted to end it. And at the time, I guess NBC needed the show, or felt they did. I don't know that they really did. But it's nice.
It is. It's awesome. Well worth it.
And you also know, like, well, this is a moment. This is not going to happen again.
Right.
Where somebody's going to say, the thing you're doing at this moment has value. So step up to the plate.
Relish the moment.
Relish the moment.
Yeah. Well, look, this has been fantastic. Life, Death, and Rice Pudding. Your stand-up special is available now on digital and demand. The Problem with People. Check that out everywhere, or iTunes.
Same place. Anywhere you're buying it. So yeah, you go in your iTunes and say, give me the Paul Reiser package. Give me the special.
I want the whole thing. And that includes The Gutter.
Yes.
With Susan Sarandon. Hilarious. I mean, the trailer, I can't wait to watch it because it's right up my alley.
Oh, it's so funny.
We have loyal people here listening, so they're going to check it out. What?
That was a bowling pun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right up my alley.
Right up my alley.
Right.
See, I said.
All right.
You know what? You're so clever. that it didn't even.
Ryan,
you're so clever. It didn't even register.
it didn't register for
No.
me. It
But
didn't.
when I get in the car, oh, am I going to laugh?
Oh God!
Will
will you call me?
I
will
will.
you call me? And tell
I
me?
got it. I'm on the 405.
I got. Oh, this has been awesome. You're a legend, and you play the legend.
Pleasure, man.
I love that you're doing great. You should be working always. You're a funny man.
Thank
and
you.
Congrats on everything.
And you, thanks for having me in your lovely studio here.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. That was a damn treat. Thanks for coming in the studio. I didn't know. He probably was looking at me like, I don't know who the hell you are, but I'm doing your podcast to promote my shit.
It was cool to have him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. He was cool.
He was awesome.
Thank you for listening. And, right now we're going to do the top tier patrons. These are the folks that give the most back to the podcast. And if you want to join, patreon.com/inside of you. Or is it inside? Patreon.com/inside. Inside of you.
Inside of you.
Inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give these shout outs to very important people here, all of you. Nancy D, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Brian H, Nico P, Rob L. Is it Rob L?
We keep wondering. No one's corrected us yet.
Yeah, it just looks like an L. Jason W, Sophie M, Raj C, Jennifer N, Stacy L, Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike L, Dan Supremo, 99 more, Santiago M, Maddie S, Kendrick F.
Belinda N, Dave Ho,
Dave Ho.
H, Brad D, Ray H, Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D, Rhiannon C, Michelle A, Jeremy C, Eugene and Leah, Eugia, Mel S, Eric H, Oracle, Amanda R, William K, and Kevin E.
Jorel, Jammin J, Leanne J, Luna R, Jules M, Jessica B, Kaylee J, Charlene A, Marion Louise L, Romeo, the band, Frank B, Jen T, April R, Randy S, Claudia, Rachel D, Nick W, Stephanie and Evan,
Stefan,
Charlene A, Don G, Jenny B76, Tina E, Angie Tracy, Keith B, Heather and Greg,
Grother,
L.E.K., Ben B, Pierre C, Sultan, Ingrid C, Christina S, Dave T,
Dave T,
David L,
David L,
Dave L, Jill and Brett, or
Dret,
or Brett. It'd be
Brill,
Jet,
Brill,
Brill,
Yeah.
Jeff G, Kareem H, and Brian B. We love you. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And I don't know what else to say. You're keeping me employed and Ryan employed and everybody else. From the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California, I am Michael Rosenbaum.
He is Michael Rosenbaum.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Ryan Tejas.
Oh, little wave to the camera. We love you guys. And as always, I mean it. Be good to yourself. That's important. So take care of yourself and try to create new healthy habits and be kind, be a good human being. And we'll see you next week.